So, welcome everybody. It's Alex Jarett with my guest, Jeff Scheetz. Jeff, how are you?
Doing great. Thank you, Alex.
Great. Thanks for being here all the way from Arizona, from Avondale, Arizona. I just realized I'm not in the middle there. From Avondale, Arizona. And so today is our technology executives session, and we have a special segment on AI for use in state and local government. We're going to go over the headlines in your area, Jeff, so that should be interesting. And in addition, I'm going to feature a few of the highlights from our most recent recordings online, our leadership briefings as well as our spotlight interviews. And so it's going to be a lot of fun, Jeff.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's going to go fast, everybody. So again, welcome here. Thanks for spending your time with us. That's all you get, right, Jeff? So we appreciate it. And it's your group, it's your community and your group too. So be sure and be part of it today. So brought to you by myself, Alex Jarett, Technology Executives Club. We are the digital media network and thought leadership community for tech leaders and tech business leaders. So everybody get involved. And we cover AI and advanced technologies, technology leadership, and of course, our new favorite topic, industry news, right, Jeff?
That's exciting stuff right there.
Yeah, it sure is. And it's not like we're in an area that has no industry news. There's a lot going on in this area. So
Every
it's
day.
a, it's a lot of fun. And we'll cover some of that today. Just if you're new to us, we get over 1 million views annually and we're growing. So it's your digital media network. We like you to be part of it. And thanks for being the first part of it, which is being part of our community. And these are community meetings. I keep saying that. So feel free to ask questions. We'll do our best to help answer you, involve you. And if you like what you see today, be sure and go to our website and all the briefings, all the videos are there, links to the podcast, the whole thing is there. And if you want to get involved, you can. And if you want to learn how you can be featured on our network for what we call our spotlight interview experience, reach out to me. Also, if you're a tech leader and you want to collaborate with your peers in the virtual peer advisor program, Jeff, you're part of that. We appreciate that. We meet once a month virtually, and a lot of people, they're involved in the local groups. So there's a lot of folks out there that just don't have the time or the travel, the ability to travel, Jeff, to the meetings. So the
Yeah,
virtual peer group is for you.
it's a great network.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate that. Also, a few of the folks that are in that network also want to accelerate their career or just get their executive brand going and actually share. Jeff, you're one of those people that really wants to share and help other people in the community, help the industry. So we appreciate you taking that time. And it's important to give back, So thanks, Jeff, for doing that. And if you're interested, reach out to me. There's my email. And of course, you can go to the website and just set up a meeting with me or hit me up on LinkedIn. So let's get into it. So again, today is our Technology Executives Review, our bi-weekly session. This is the end of June, 4th of July coming. It's going to be fun, right? So we've got a couple things that we're going to do with you. We're going to show some video highlights, and we're going to include a special segment on AI for use in state and local government. And so let's get into it. You can see I'm starting to accelerate here because we're right in it now. So we've got the biggest headlines that shape AI in the enterprise landscape this past few weeks. Not that there isn't many, right? Well, we had to pick the top ones. Industry market notes, as well as AI in the enterprise. Special industry segment, AI use in state and local government, and insights from our board of advisor members. So let's get into it. Actually, that's not true. Yeah, no, that is true. Insights from our board of advisor members. Those are the feature sessions. Sorry. So now streaming. In fact, let me share one of those with you right now. If you go to our website, here's the website, technologyexecutivesclub.com. You can see all the new videos and everything we've posted right on top. You can kind of scroll through. These are all videos. And then there's also a couple categories, which is the advisors briefing spotlights. We're going to add this session here. We're going to have its own section, and we're going to add a new section coming up, which is a special resources section, Jeff. So it's going to be fun. And this is a video we did a couple weeks ago. And I just want to show you the intro. This was a special segment with Biff Meyer, who heads industry solutions over a company called CBTS. And let me just show the beginning of this. Let me say, I do want to go about 1 minute. Again, I'll say hello, Biff. How are you? AI in the Enterprise Summit that was in the spring here in Chicagoland. I hope one day to do it somewhere warm, really warm, And also promise you when we market Yeah, I just want you to see this here. Here's the actual content. The event for the summit that we recently had, we had everybody write a note like what's their burning question, and we had them talk about it. And what's really interesting is what we heard from some of the executives is number one, adoption. The majority of employees are not adopting AI. And what's really, it blew us all away in the room because all of us are in this bubble, Biff, right? Where we think, oh my God, everyone we talk about is using it, our friends use it. But guess what? At these companies, and these were mid-sized and large companies,
Yeah.
the employees are not buying into this, right? I can have you comment on that, Jeff. I don't know if you're seeing that in the state and local government, but that was really surprised us. We were in the room in a summit. We have all these people. We're all like talking about Musk and Anthropic and the different models and things like that. We're all super psyched about it. What are you using? I'm using Claude. I'm using this. I'm using that. Have you vibe coded yet? Stuff like that. And CIOs raise their hand and says, I can't get anyone to use it. What do you think, Jeff?
Yeah. I think we see the same thing. I think it's probably every industry wide, right? You've got those adopters, and I think it's any technology. I don't think it's unique to AI, right? Any technology, it's that adoption rate. Some people are on board, give it to me, and other people are like, I'm not so sure I like I just like what I'm doing
Yeah.
today and don't interrupt me, right? Type of thing. I think it's pretty common. And I think we'll see where it continues to, as AI continues to grow. It's going to be more and more of what we do in a day-to-day basis, though.
It just shows you, I think you're right on target. It just shows you that the people part of this technology shift, job one for the
Yeah,
technology leader
100%.
and the tech position. Yeah, because we're all saying, you see these crazy headlines like, so and so lays off X number of people due to AI. Come on, the CFO was just,
Right.
boss, we're going to get the market share up by the end of the year. We're going to get the market price up. We're going to do this and this. You know, what do we blame it on? Okay. Oh, AI. Let's just
Yeah.
say AI. So I'm sure that's happened.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And if you're that regular employee, you're thinking, I don't know if I like this. I'm just going to do my thing as long as I can. I'm going to wait it out, right? You
Yeah,
know, it's
exactly.
real. Yeah.
It is.
So leaders, you gotta think about the people. All right. Top headlines, AI and market news. This is kind of a slow news week, was it? Not really. Right. Let's get into it. I'll just read them real quick if you're new to us. Global AI stock sell-off shakes markets from Wall Street to Asia over capital expenditure fears. I don't know if I don't say it right. Sorry. Kyndryl 2026 People Readiness Report warns workforce AI readiness has dropped 6 points worldwide. Gartner forecasts worldwide AI spending will surpass 2.52 trillion in 2026. So people are committing. SpaceX shakes markets with surprise 20 billion bond sales just days after record-breaking IPO. Any favorites you want to talk about on this one? We'll pick one from this topic.
Well, I
Jeff?
think, Alex, I think when touching on that Kyndryl one, the
Yeah.
readiness, you touched on that just briefly with Biff and what you guys had in your summit, but I think it's changing so fast, right? And so even if you have people adopting it without resistance, there's only so fast as an organization you can move to implement new technology, right? And so
Yeah.
this is one of those things where I think the technology is outpacing just implementing. Like it takes time to bring in new software, new tools, implement it, regardless of the people aspect, like you mentioned, and adoption.
Yeah. So some of these smaller companies or groups or divisions can move fast, but overall, companies it's going to take time, to
Exactly.
implement this. The people part, I can't help but not talk about SpaceX for a minute because I love that company.
Yeah.
This means not only did they raise all the money, and then I think it dropped afterwards, it's not in the headline, but why they also went out and got 20 billion in bond sales. SpaceX is moving with insane velocity, even after raising 75 billion in the largest IPO ever to merge with XAI. They're immediately raising another 20 billion, folks, because building space-based solar power AI data centers requires an unprecedented amount of upfront physical capital. I mean, can you believe we're actually saying those words? They're raising to spend money on, great, put the data centers out there. I think the aliens might think they're ready to visit us once they start seeing that. What do you think, Jeff?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know what? This is pretty fascinating, right? Especially given all of the recent news about data centers, and you've seen states and communities kind of pushing back on data centers
Yeah. Yeah.
nationwide, right? So now you can go up here where nobody's going to push back on you, but maybe the aliens, as you mentioned, right? So
Yeah, I'm
we'll
just
see who
throwing
has
that
that.
out. But isn't it Arizona? Isn't that space in Arizona where what's that place they call it in Arizona? It's in
Oh,
Arizona, right?
Nevada,
Yeah, it's in
right? Yeah,
Nevada. Yeah,
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 yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
Nevada. And they came out like, a couple years ago. It's real, so
Yep.
yeah. So wow. Anyways, let's keep moving, but it's pretty interesting. I'm going to just highlight that last one. Gardner forecasts worldwide spending will surpass AI spending 2.5. That's a lot. That's a lot. All right, let's go to the next chart. 81% of organizations expect AI agents to make impactful corporate decisions within the next year. I'm not sure I'm comforted from that. I don't hear anyone saying, "Hey, we solved the drift problem." I don't hear that. We'll come back to that. Alphabet stock hits the word. That's Google. Worst trading day in a year following high-profile AI research departures. Can you believe that? One or two people leave, maybe more, and all of a sudden the stock drops? That's kind of fragile. South
Yep.
Korea chip benchmarks tumble 10% as major hardware manufacturers feel the tech pullback. Interesting. SaaS TCO disruption. Zoho launches in-house Nathula, I hope I'm saying that right, chip to slash AI inference costs. Which one do you want to cover on this one?
I think, the impactful corporate decision, 81% of organizations expect AI agents to make impactful corporate decisions, right? I think
Yeah.
that's going to be a tough one. And it kind of touches again on the adoption rate, and some of that. But there's a lot of stories going on too, where people have, invested in AI and you're making these
Yeah.
decisions and you're seeing it kind of roll back a little bit because it has taken not that AI can't do these jobs, right? But there's still that human emotion or human side of it that we've got to still address in some of that. And so I think this will definitely be a good one to watch in the near future, just because of it says only 25% people trust it. So that's pretty low when you start implementing something that's going to deal with customers or make business decisions for you or whatever that may be.
You ever been stuck in a phone loop lately?
Oh yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Seriously. It's
Yeah. I want to
worse.
speak to an agent. I want to speak to an agent and I don't get anywhere,
You
right?
get an AI agent. It's
Yeah,
worse.
it is.
So, we'll talk in a minute. We'll have a case study someone presented at the conference that was actually, it worked. Exit to a human still critical.
Yep.
And all these companies have these platforms with the AI agents because, yeah, we're selling it. But at the end of the day, you know, I don't see all these fundamental problems solved yet. And they got to solve them.
Right.
And we've got the AI adoption. We've got the exit to the human. When do you exit? I've heard that, the pilots do great because it's a controlled environment, but then it goes to an open environment where all this data you didn't even think about starts to show up. The world's a moving target and
Mhm.
pilots aren't. They're contained environments. And there's a lot to figure out. Having said that, it's pretty cool, but I'm kind of with you. I'm going to wait and see. I believe in the future with this, but I think I'm going to wait and see how it works. But it'll be interesting. I mean, we already have trading, stocks trading. I could see logistics,
Mhm.
things like that. But somebody could wake up if they don't have their parameters set up. Oh my God, we just spent a
Right.
$500 million. You know, what just happened? Oh, we
Yeah.
just bought another ship to handle the logistics. I'm teasing on the ship, but you get what I'm saying.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Why do we have all this toilet paper? Yeah. Oh, I'm just trying to make a joke about it, but it's true. You get where I'm going with that. All right. In fact, let's learn something from somebody who had a successful session, Tim Walter. He had a project. He's been presenting, he presented at the summit. People loved it. So we did a lessons learned post segment. And what they did is they identified a business issue first. And the business issue was the fact that they had more RFPs than they could handle. And what a good problem to have. And so it's a big market. The restaurant supply, I think North America's largest restaurant supply company. And so they used a private AI and started training it to have it help them with the RFPs. And they were able to speed the whole process up and also along the way, and they're still doing it. So some lessons learned he shared with us. And I want to show you that. Where is my session here? I'll just go here. By the way, you can go to the individual pages also. I'll see if I can find it that way. Here's Tim. Here's his lessons learned. Let me just find the spot I want to show you. Hi, everybody. It's Alex Jarett with Successful AI Project. CIO at Edward Don, and that's great. You were at our summit and you could get a big ROI out of increasing and growing, correct?
Yeah, definitely a great project for us to put our foot in the water of the AI world. And we're really excited that we were able to make it across the line, and we're continuing to improve it today.
And what was great is that your AI project not only succeeded in a big way, it also solved a lot of other problems for you in the process. For example, helping you with the tribal knowledge issue that everybody knows we have. And it's a big success. And that was just the first project. And now you have another project that you're working on. So what we're going to do in this video today is you're going to share your framework or your
Everybody focuses on saying, what are our pain points? And you have to begin there. So when we started this, we said, what is it we're trying to solve? And again, this is very basics. It's getting
This is the part I wanted to hear.
back to the basics. There is a lot of pressure coming from the board, leadership, everybody saying, hey, we need AI, we need AI. But it's just one of the things that it is going to be here, I feel, for a long time. But when you start looking at what are our pains, how do we improve what we're trying to do, you have to begin with the problem. From there, just like any other project, you say, okay, these are the things we're trying to do. What is our end game? How do we get to that end game? Then you work backwards a little and say, okay, now there may be, and I'm going to say maybe because there's no guarantee, there could be an AI solution. AI has been around for a long time. We've all been using it in different ways, RPA, machine learning, conversational. It's just to a point where it really has made it into the mainstream. Now there's the opportunity to say, okay, yes, this can be solved using some AI technology, but it's still a process. It's a flow. We still have to begin with the business needs as we start down the journey.
What do you think, Jeff? What do you on target?
Yeah, I mean, he's so right. Like, AI by itself is great, but you've got to have a purpose with any tool, right? Over the years, I can think of countless tools that different organizations I've been in, we brought in, didn't initially have a business problem that they were trying to solve, but it was a cool new shiny tool, right? Those never succeed. You've got to have the why and what are you trying to do behind it before you can solve a problem.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty clear. He knows he's right on target. And I think the lesson for the tech leaders that are watching is you've got to respond to the pressure that we know you're experiencing, but this is where you hold your ground and find the business problem and make sure there's engagement from and ownership from the business leaders, right? Back to basics when it talks about major project success too.
Yes.
Because we have another presentation that another speaker that's part of our program, Tori, and he's an expert in project success and failure. And he says there's 6 ways a project can fail, Jeff. And those ways are the fundamental things that Tim is talking about. And now more than ever, it's important to follow those fundamentals because the pressure is on.
Yeah.
Let's switch topics. Let's go to AI in the enterprise news. And this is a good segue because we just had yourself and Tim talk about things that the technology leaders are interested in. We all are interested in the market news, but the technology leaders that you kind of want to pay attention to. So we'll start with the first 4. And let me get to this page here. Give me a second here. And I'll just read them real quick. Hyperproof named category leader in enterprise GRC Chartist Risk Tech Quadrant. That's interesting. So they're talking about corporate compliance control operations. Very interesting. True Foundry named LLM Platform of the Year as enterprise focus shifts from models to scale infrastructure. That kind of goes to what we were talking about before with the agentic AI. I hear ServiceNow and all these big companies are coming up with this agentic AI platform. So I think you will see more of that. Ask Ella wins Enterprise AI Search Solution of the Year for breaking down complex data workflows. That's pretty cool. That's
Mhm.
from pharmaceuticals. IBM Institute research reveals only 18% of organizations maintain a current employee of deployed AI assets. Interesting. I guess the data lakes are coming back or something, right? AI is going to solve our data problem. So what do you think, Jeff? Which one do you want to hit on?
I think, if you take the first one and the last one, it's
Yeah,
really, to me, those are both around governance, right? And I think,
yeah,
the GRC, governance, risk, compliance, and that's where I do think that's a great use case for AI, because we never have enough resources to make sure as our data secure, as our things, even before AI came out. This governance, risk, compliance is something that's hard to get control of and hard to focus on because it doesn't gain any visibility to the organization, or, you know what I mean, other than it's that risk you're trying to keep everything secure on the back end. So I think this is really something that's important that AI can help us with. And then when you look at the IBM at the bottom, only 18% of organizations maintain the current. That speaks to governance right there. You got shadow IT going on or shadow AI going on. And
yeah,
and I get it, it's moving fast. We're all dealing with that, but it's just gonna add to the problem.
yeah, totally add to the problem. And I think you're right on the money, this whole thing. And Jeff, by the way, talks a lot about innovation and governments tied together and innovation through and governance through people, right?
Yes.
So that's his theme and one of his main themes. So I think you're right on the money. I think if you're not focusing on governments in peril with the innovation, it's going to catch up to you.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, there's no question. So it's a way to move forward, not a way to be restricted. And I think that's one of your themes. So I think that's good insight. Let's go to the next one. I've heard this top one already. I'm already hearing it. We heard it. We brought
Yep.
this one up. A number of people brought this up. Everybody's afraid of it. You should be. Enterprise token pricing crisis. That's what they call it, a crisis now. Exposes significant executive literary gaps in corporate AI math. I mean, just think about it. We're raising all this money. We're building all this infrastructure. We're charging super low rates to get us hooked on this stuff, which we all are now. The early adopters are. Rate increase in the future? Maybe. AI, like you said? Maybe,
Yep.
for sure. Data center world declares power availability, not compute, as primary constraint to AI scale. Okay. Here comes the matrix. Where are they going to get the power from? I'm sorry, I can't help myself, everybody. Scalar and Checkpoint launch granular policy protections to secure corporate AI apps without damaging UX. That's interesting. Um, That's very interesting. Policy to secure without damaging UX, huh? A State of Human Risk report finds 60% of enterprises lack strategy for Gen AI data links. You picked this one. They're all like, to me,
Uh,
they're
these are
all
all these are all bad news,
these are
Alex.
all horrific. I mean, so
Well, just when you were talking about that, the token ones,
yeah, that's the right one.
to me, that's something that it's kind of, in the early days when the cloud was sort of developing and
Yeah.
we are going to move everything to Azure AWS, and it was hard to calculate, well, how much is this going to cost me, right? Everybody was trying to envision what it's going to cost. And I think we're almost here with AI because you buy your tokens, but your tokens are only lasting a few hours out of a month, right? And then,
Oh,
then you're out of,
we got it. We're set. Let's go have lunch. You come back. What? We just
so
approved this an hour ago. Go ahead.
yeah. So how do you budget for that, right? Hey, I've got, X amount of money for my tokens and they're gone in a few hours, the first day of the month. What's the benefit in that, So that's going to be an interesting to see how this shakes out.
Well, if you're out there, you're looking for a business idea, token optimization agency. There you go.
There you
Right
go.
there. Remember the old days when people would come in and they would audit your telephone use
Mm-hmm.
and
Oh
they would
yeah.
do it for free and then you'd get a percentage of it? I
Who's he
guarantee it.
making? Oh yeah,
If
who's
you,
making long distance calls from the office, right?
yeah,
Back
we'll
in the
go
day.
in and if you're looking for a business to do, everybody, there you go, right there. Right? Am I right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. Yeah. What's
Yeah.
the tokens being used on? Are you AI videos that nobody's going to see or they're going to social media, or are you using it for work? What is
Yeah,
it,
that's
right?
a good one. I could think of some interesting ways to use AI, but I won't mention them on this show. This is the
There
rated
you go.
show.
There you go.
So we're going to do it. So, anyways, I think you hit the nail on the head. Token pricing, one of our top issues came out from our summit. I'll just mention that. People are, for good reason, afraid of this one. They see
Mhm.
it coming. All right. All right, here's another one. I want to bring this one up. This is one we did a couple months ago with Richard. He's a good speaker, very well known in the Midwest, Chicago area. Started a company, founder of CRITS. They do recruiting, staffing, augmentation, the whole thing in that niche. And he's really zeroed in on this advanced technology area, AI, that whole thing. He's very experienced. Hiring for AI, don't make this mistake. I wonder what that expensive mistake could be. Let's see. So I'll go in this way, the briefing area. Actually, I'll go this way because he's got a lot on there I want you to see. So there's Richard, and you can see he's got a lot of different sessions he's done with us. And hi, everybody. It's Alex Jarett with Technology with this leadership briefing. Watch all of our videos. One is empowering businesses to achieve their growth objectives by connecting them with top tier talent. And the second is provide tailored staffing solutions.
Yeah, you got that right. And, Alex, at the end of the day, every one of our clients are unique. They have a unique culture. They're able to customize.
I've done a number of videos already. I like where this series is headed because now we're actually giving specific advice what's happening in the market today. And this topic is called hiring for AI. Don't make this expensive mistake. So what are we talking about here? Tell us about this.
So when we're talking to clients, a lot of times what they want to do is just start with, I need to hire a person or a team of people to solve an executable problem.
Yeah.
But they haven't taken enough time to define what that executable truly is. So what I always start with is I say, you don't need to hire an AI team.
Right.
You need AI capable leaders. And when you hire AI capable leaders, then the team is formed around that. So it's really understanding what the business needs are, what the business challenges are, and then reverse engineering that out to what that AI solution might be. And then when clients are also talking to me about hiring teams, I always try to pull back a little bit on that and say, okay, maybe not a team, because you've already got players within your organization that know the business, know the operations, know the culture. And those individuals really are the ones who are going to drive it for you. And they're going to help you get to what those use cases are in order to understand how to bring value to the business.
Yeah. I think you get the point. What do you think, Jeff?
Yeah, I mean, it is. It's all, again, it's focusing on the people, right? And not so much AI is going to solve the problem. I mean, using AI, I didn't talk about AI solving a problem, but it's still got that people focus. And you've got to get those that want to use it, that are willing to champion it, inventory it, as we've talked about, whatever that may be. You've got to bring in the people aspect of it.
Yeah, he's talking about the people and the problem together, actually.
Exactly.
And so he really ties into both those issues we've kind of already I didn't realize that was going to happen, but I think he nailed it on that. Really nailed it with that
100%.
with that insight. So that's a good one if you want to watch that, highly recommended. All right, let's go back to the slides here. And that's Richard Doran. So now we're going to start a special segment with Jeff here. And you can see that, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Now we're going to start a special segment with Jeff here. I'm going to do a little intro and an exit of this section, everybody, but don't leave at the end because this is just a part of the webinar and we'll distribute this separately also. Hi, everybody. It's Alex Jarett again with my good friend Jeff Scheetz, who's the CIO of the City of Avondale, Arizona. Hi, Jeff. How are you?
Hey, Alex. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. And today we've got a special short segment that is called AI in state and local government. Kind of a hot topic, right, Jeff?
there's a little bit going on in the world of AI right now. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's timely.
Yeah, it's great. So it's for doing this. And what we're going to do is we're going to cover headlines in AI in state and local government. And, I think when people hear about state and local government, the first thought in their head is, oh my gosh, surveillance and, you know, right, all these things. But it's, you know, there is some of that happening in terms of for good, right? People are like
Yeah.
trying to serve the citizens and help everybody, right?
Mhm.
So, yeah. So go ahead and make a quick comment about that, even though we've talked about that before. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I think it is. I think AI is a great tool that we can bring in to assist and make things easier for staff, make things better for the public that we're trying to serve. Because in my mind, it's that staff, it's like a great staff assistant, let me call it that, right? And so it's bringing in and helping everybody process paperwork or do whatever it is, just move a little bit faster.
So what we want to do here is get a little past that initial fear that people might have and say, hey, there's actually some really good use cases. And let's start with the headlines to see what people are actually doing or even what they're concerned about, because governance is a key topic and it's important. So I'm going to read these headlines and then we'll pick one or two and you can comment on them as our guest industry analyst today. How states how states and cities can use I guess that's now, can use new federal funds to fix permitting delays with AI. That's interesting. Very interesting. Anthropic launches 15 million cyber defense program for state, local, and tribal governments. That's interesting. Doesn't sound like a lot of money, 15 million. State form coalition to strongly reject proposed federal AI preemption proposal. That's interesting. God, these are all interesting. White House issues advanced AI executive order opting for voluntary state frameworks over mandatory licensing. All right, they're all totally interesting. You pick one. You're the industry expert. Which one should we talk about a little?
I think the first one really, I even almost touched on that, I think in the introduction there, but
Yeah.
using AI to fix these paperwork intensive processes, it just makes a lot of sense from a organization standpoint, whether
Oh,
you're
look at it. Yeah.
in our case, your city government or state government, but even if you're in the corporate world, there's just a lot of paperwork, right? And whether that's manual paperwork or workflows on the computer, there's a lot of manual review that takes place. And so I think this is a great way where AI can come in. It's very routine, what it's looking for. It's got check boxes. This is just a great use case overall for AI. So I think it's just a great way to expand that. And again, provide a better service.
I think you're right on the money, and I think it's great that this in local cities can get these grants and they can make their own decisions where to, what area. And, we just recorded a series of videos with you, and one of them was how you're using AI and how some of your fellow local municipalities are using AI. So what would be just real quickly, what would be a couple, one or two use cases that maybe people haven't thought about?
When I think about these use cases, I think like this one's very common. You're seeing go
Yeah.
along in a lot of municipal governments, not just here, but
Yeah.
just across
Yeah.
the country with my different contacts. You're really seeing in this use case as that staff assistant too. But again, there's got to be, and I've said this all along, there's a human in the loop, right? But if it can do some of these preliminary checks and save 15, 20 minutes of staff time and every one of these permits applications that come in, that's hours a day that you're saving, and even in a small organization, right? And so I think this is one of the areas I think that's fantastic to move forward with.
So I think we mentioned in the video of paperwork, there's a lot of processing of paperwork. How many times have people tried to get a building? I think you mentioned building permits, so that would be a really good example of that. And I think you also mentioned, I just want to cover this other one because I thought it was really interesting from your video. So I want people to watch your video once we release it. Talked just a little about on what's it called when they call 911, the 911 service, right? Where they have access to more advanced. Go ahead.
Yeah, the drone as a first responder, right? I think is that the one you're leaning towards?
Yeah, that's super cool.
Yeah, so that's getting popular, and somebody calls 911, and it might take minutes for emergency responders to get on the scene if it's an accident or call, whatever the call for service may be. But now these drones can be deployed, be on scene within 30 seconds and really provide, camera footage back to the dispatcher,
Yeah.
to those en route, so they know what they're getting into and what to expect before they arrive on scene. So
So smart.
it is. And again, it's all about community service, right?
And it will save lives. It will
Yes, it
save
will.
lives because that 911 operator would say, "Oh my gosh, there's a fire
Yeah.
department, ambulance, get over there. It's the
Yeah.
police, go
Yep.
help them out," before the police get there, and
Yeah.
then they got to make the call.
Yeah.
So the
Those
call is
first
already made.
responders, the first responders get to gear up and be ready when they get on scene instead of assessing the scene when they get there. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. All right. And then when you want to hit on this one, you want to jump to the next one.
I think, the Anthropic, I think cybersecurity is always an issue, right? Whether
Yeah.
again, state, local, and so I think anything, to strengthen and to strengthen cybersecurity and AI is just creating more risks, if you want to call it that, for cybersecurity. And you're seeing stuff in the news all the time about how AI can be used by the bad guys just as much as we're using it trying to be on the good side. So I think anything we can do to help strengthen AI for cybersecurity is the way to go.
Yeah, I think that's a really good insight, Jeff. I mean, you talk about the bad guys. I mean, you and I both have talked about this offline. The bad guys aren't just criminals that are, the bad guys aren't just like hooded criminals, with tattoos that are on their own. These are nation states in some circumstances, and or at least large organizations, and they know what they're doing.
Mhm.
And if you think about a state or local municipality and you think about something like the electrical grid or things like that,
Mhm.
which are critical path for all of us, it's really important that you all are able to, guard us in that way.
Oh, yeah.
And so there's a lot going on, not to mention just theft of money, which
Yes.
would be a big incentive. So I think that's great. All right, let's get to the next page. State and local governments petition Senate for 300 million in urgently needed cyber grant funding. Well, we're
Hey.
talking about that.
Yep.
Arizona, oh, you know about this probably. Arizona adjourned session after successfully passing trio of comprehensive municipal AI governance bills. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Maryland appoints former federal artificial intelligence leader as first state level chief AI officer. That's really cool.
Yep.
We should lobby for you to become the Arizona state AI officer. That'd be super
Hey,
cool.
I'll be all for that one.
Yeah, you get to wear a badge and everything, like stripes
Right,
and
I
stuff
like
like
it.
that. It'd be super cool. Governor Phil Scott officially signs historic public therapy chatbot ban into wow. That that's very interesting. Okay, see how long that law holds. I mean, who is not using this for therapy already? Which one do you
Exactly.
want to cover?
Well, I think touching on the one in Arizona, I think several states have done something very similar, right, to this, and a lot of states are jumping on board and trying to put some AI guidelines, guardrails, policies, whatever you want to call it, in place at the state level. And this is something that several municipalities have been involved in, and other organizations in Arizona working directly with the state to help craft these. But again, the focus on these bills, at least in our area, is to make sure that there's that human side of this human stays in the loop. We don't just have an AI
Yeah.
make these random decisions and hope it all works out in the end, so that's, I think, and that's important. I mean, I've talked about that many times.
Well, that's something that your area is doing, but I'm suspecting that some people will make that mistake, be pressured, not follow the guidelines, and we'll see that emerge. Yeah, it happens. We'll see. But I'm glad that someone like you, and that's one reason we like having you get your voice out there to help people that are in your peers and people like that for that. Let's do another one. Do you have another one that you want to hit? Otherwise, I'll talk about that. I want to talk about that last one. It's kind of intriguing.
No, go. That's what I was leaning towards. So go. Let's start there.
All right, what this means and why it's important. This draws a hard legal line in the sand for municipal risk management. Vermont is explicitly stating that while AI is great for administrative work and logistics, public health and citizen emotional well-being carry too much liability to hand it over to unmonitored software algorithms. And I'm going to go on record saying I can't agree more. This stuff can be dangerous. I mean, there's been kids that have committed suicide, and because the version of a chat bot or AI, didn't have code in it to push them to help. And it just kept going with them, just whatever they wanted to do. And, you know, as I like to say, you realize you're taking advice from something that's been trained on Reddit.
Yeah.
So not that we all secret here, not that I don't go on Reddit. I mean, but you get what I'm saying. You have a little something called discernment, and if someone's got emotional issues or we all go through stress, maybe you want a human that's kind of, experienced with this. So what is your take on this?
Yeah, no, 100%. I think this is one of those risky areas, right? It's like
Yeah.
this is, I think, kind of goes back to the whole chatbot we talked about earlier on in the session about just on a customer service chatbot. I mean, sometimes we get frustrated with those, when you're not getting the answer you want. And how is this going to be any different, right? And
Yeah.
so, I mean, I know it's trained to different or whatever, but I've gotten frustrated with some of the GPTs out there, been playing with them at home and doing something, and I'm
Yeah.
not getting the answer I want. And it knows when I get frustrated, but it's not going to tell me to calm down or whatever it is, right? So I think this is, I think this is a huge one where the humans got to be in the loop, and maybe this helps in some of the. This can ask some open-ended questions and gather some data, but I think you've got to have that emotion, and you got to understand really what's going on the other side of it from a
Totally. I
emotional
mean, and
standpoint, right?
you see these apps that are already being sold that get into this area already,
Yeah.
and they're international, nationwide. And I know just from looking at my own use, sometimes when I ask it something and I've given it the instructions to give me the advice,
Mhm.
it keeps going. It keeps pushing.
Yes.
It's like pushing. And then at
Yes.
the end, it'll do something like, now go, that's it, go run your business now.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
it's directing. It's not, it's
Right.
crossed over to direction.
Yes.
And I think about, some kid who's having issues and they're on this thing and they're, what should I do? It's telling them. I know it's
Yeah.
telling them what to
Yeah.
do. That is, folks, that's not healthy.
No.
Whoever's coding this, stop with the direction.
Right. Yeah.
These are for us, not the other
Right.
way around. You have any insight on that?
No, yeah, exactly. And I think and what I've noticed about AI is it's very confident when it makes a recommendation. Like it's like there's no doubt that this is what you need to do or whatever it is. And again, I don't know.
It sounds confident. It's just picking words. It's been
Yes.
programmed to pick words that make it sound confident.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's just guessing. It's just
Yeah.
guessing. Come on. We got another minute. Let's cover one more while we got you. Whoops, sorry. That's it for those questions. Let's cover one more since we got another minute. How states and cities can use federal funds. We've covered this pretty good. What do you think about that last one? White House issues advanced executive order opting for voluntary state frameworks. So this is part of the philosophy of letting the states manage what they want to do.
Mhm. Yeah, I think I've been in municipal government for 19 years,
Yeah,
in a couple different areas, and I think this is something that's very important to on the municipal government side for sure. Is we're
yeah,
the we're the closest to the citizens. We feel like we
that's
have
right.
impact right to the citizens, and so I think this is key to where the states and the cities and the counties have their final say. Right? It's not a we don't want that one mandate that's gonna this is what we're gonna do it. I think this is important, and I think you're gonna see most states want to go this route.
Yeah, I like this approach too for exactly the reason you all are closest to the actual citizen. And we all have universal needs and wants, but there are local conditions that prevail.
Yeah.
And I think that's very wise that they're doing that specific one. All right. Any last comments you want to make on what you're seeing in state and local government with AI?
No, I think state and local governments trending right along with what you see in the corporate world. Just with adoption, it's AI is constantly changing. We're seeing people jump on board. We're seeing some resistance from staff, but that's not any different than anything else. So I don't think AI is unique in that sense, but I appreciate it, Alex.
Yeah, it's great to have you here. So, Jeff, thanks for being on this special segment where we cover the news for AI and what's going on in state and local government. Jeff Scheetz, CIO, City of Avondale, Arizona. Thanks, Jeff.
Thanks again, Alex.
All right, folks, stay with us here. We're going to keep moving. So, what I want to do is segue to a presentation that we did with Tori, and we've got another one in the works here that's coming out soon. I want to show you this. And Tori is the fellow that I mentioned that's very, very bright when it comes to project success and failure. And if you have a project, I don't know if you knew, Jeff, but you might have a project that's failing and not even know it.
Exactly.
It's like, yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So he talks about that. In fact, we're doing a special segment. This is the one we did with headlines, so I'm going to skip that one. And I just did a headlines one. Let me see. It popped up in its own. I got lost here. Hang on. So I popped up in its own window here. Let's see. We'll just go to this one here. Hi, everybody. It's Alex here with another. Well, it's so great to see you. I'll tell you why. Because when I originally saw that, yeah, it's Latin for success assurance. So my understanding is you're
companies to prepare, or we fix their big projects if they get in the middle of them and they're failing. And, really about 70 to 80% of significant technology projects fail. And we help fix it, or ideally we help them avoid those problems in the first place.
That's what you really want, I think. That's what you were telling me.
That's what we're really about. And that's why Success Assurance is the name of the company.
Oh, I get it.
Although Success Assurance sounds like an insurance company.
Yeah, it does kind of sound like an insurance. So if you're a CIO, CTO, et cetera, and you've got a failing project and you need help, you call Tori and his team. That's number one, right? But if you're planning a project and you want assurance that you and your team are doing it right, they could call you, could either help them or you've got, I assume, some resources just to help them. Am I correct in that?
That's right. For significant technology implementations.
So what would be some examples of?
Like a new ERP system or a new CRM system, manufacturing execution system, warehouse management systems, those kinds of
big ones,
technologies. Yeah, exactly right.
And what types of companies do you work with?
Yeah.
So we went through that, but he later in the thing, he goes through the reasons why they fail. He gave us examples of that. So if you're looking for examples of why they fail stories, he is just full of great stories. And so I highly recommend that you watch some of Tori's work. And we've got some more coming out. And this one here is now streaming. I clicked on the wrong one. So let me show you that one to highlight. I won't spend much time on the video, but whoops. Sorry about that, folks. Let me fix this. So let me show you that. That's one we got coming. I'm sorry. So anyways, lessons, there it is. Key lessons learned. So this was we're going to go to a special another one of these sessions. AI project failure.
Hey, you're doing a great job.
So what we did here is we did another segment like we did with Jeff just now. But the one that I wanted to highlight, and I clicked on the other video by mistake, is this particular one. And I just want you to read this headline. Well, here, I'll let him do it. Okay, I'll just read the headline.
I'll add color. How's that?
It's expensive software failure. Boy, that's a good one. Cautionary higher database. Sorry, I can't help myself. Let me read it real quick.
The fun one.
Go ahead.
The fun one is the.
Want me to read it so they know what it is? Yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So let me read it real quick, and then you do your stuff. VW launched Jarett in 2020 with an ambitious vision to create one unified AI operating system for all 12 VW brands. By 25, it became a cautionary tale. 20 million line code base riddled with bugs, delayed launches of the Porsche Macan electric and Audi Q6 e-tron by over a year, ultimately 1,600 job cuts. Wow.
Yeah. The first thing I would say is, have you ever heard of MVP, minimally viable product here?
Yeah.
To start off saying, hey, we're going to replace 200 plus supplier systems. We're going to build a completely custom AI and, proprietary solution with this big bang transformation. That's a high risk. That's a high risk approach. So, yeah. And then, 20 million lines of buggy code. Yeah. I think the takeaway here is, start with one focused use case, validate it, and then expand. Don't try to do a big bang with everything and get this huge outcome.
You can tell just by listening to him, Jeff, he's got a lot of really good stories and just his insights are good. He talks about it a minute later. I'm all for swinging the fences, but take your time on this stuff,
Exactly.
Good insight. So let's get back to the slides. So be sure you watch that. Let me tell you now, showing and coming soon. We just did an interview with Josh Rose. I just did an interview with Josh Rose, spotlight interview. He's got this AI tool, Zagger.ai, and his premise is that a lot of the stuff that we do in workflow is on our individual PCs. We all know this. It's the emails, it's the notes, it's the spreadsheets, it's everything, right? And you're allowed to, if you can get access to it, it can help structure it and then start to show the workflows and then speed up those workflows. And you talked about some of that exact same type of thing. And they have a tool that's for this area, this unstructured data, so that maybe that will help solve the problem. Maybe tools like this will help solve the problem that we talked about earlier about structured data assets or unstructured data assets. So anyways, that's interesting. And that's Josh Rose, and that's on the website, on the homepage as well. All right. And then this is one that's coming out next week. Empowering governance in a local government through a people-centered strategy. Who's that good-looking young man on there?
I
Oh,
don't know. See what he's had to say. That'll be the
yeah,
one.
that's you, Jeff. That's everybody. That's Jeff Scheetz. And he did a presentation with us called Empowering Governance in a Local Government Through a People-Centered Strategy. Doesn't matter if you're in government, watch this because it is all about your people that's on your team, but also the employees and, of course, in your case, the citizens, but it could easily be your customers. So they are the same thing when you're state and local, the same thing. So this was a really insightful conversation. So thanks for doing that. Jeff and I also did one that was hopefully part one of our series on the AI use in state and local government. And it's super cool stuff that we talked about. We already mentioned the drones. That's just one. So we goes a little deeper in the presentation on the drones. It's super cool. So you're going to want to watch that. Thank you, Jeff, for that. There's part one that you'll look for that once we do it. All right, real quick. We're out of time. Save the dates. Let me show you this real quick. So if you go to our site, you just go to our events, and this is today. You scroll down. You want to mark your calendar. We're doing this one now. If you're in our virtual leader peer group is July 1st. Our technology executives review webinar briefing with AI in the enterprise is the 17th. So that's the next one of these. So mark your calendar, noon central. Go ahead and mark everybody your calendar. We have something called a go-to-market thought leadership. That's part of our solution or assistance for tech business leaders to accelerate their business through thought leadership and getting them on the network. And again, our briefing is July 31st at the end of the month, and of course, July 4th. So that's what's coming on the calendar. So save those dates. Again, brought to you by myself, Alex Jarett, and Technology Executives Club. We're the digital media network and thought leadership community for tech leaders and tech business leaders. We cover AI and advanced technologies, leadership, industry news. If you're a tech leader or tech business leader, you want to get on the network and talk to me about that, reach out about our complimentary spotlight interview experience. Happy to help you with that. Talk to you about that. If you're a tech leader and you really just want to talk confidentially with your peers virtually, maybe you can't get to the local SIM meeting, right, Jeff? Everybody knows SIM's great organization, some of the other, but not everybody can get to these meetings monthly. So learn about our peer advisory program. And one of the things that we do in that, Jeff, is if somebody has a real problem, we reach out to our entire network anonymously and you've used it. Other people use it.
It's been a great service. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Never been stumped on that one since 2001. So very powerful. And then if you're a technology leader who wants to work on your executive brand, really get out there and share. We help you with that, get you on the network. Not everybody wants to share, but Jeff, we appreciate you being one of those people that wants to share and your insights because it helps. Interested in either, reach out to me at LinkedIn or at my email. And thank you for being here, Jeff. Any closing comments? Otherwise, I would sign off and say thank you.
I have nothing. Thanks for having me today, Alex.
Yeah, well, it's wonderful to have you here from Arizona, virtual. We take this for granted, but it's really cool to have you here. And thanks for your insights. We did a special segment on state and local government, covered some really interesting headlines that's going on. And we covered some really interesting headlines that's going on. Everybody, thank you for taking your time with us. And we appreciate you being here. We'll see you hopefully in a couple of weeks. Reach out to me if you want to get involved. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you.